Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Queued Up, where the mics are hot, the lobbies are open, and two people yet again have dodged. My name is Andy. Joined with me today is the usual suspects. I got myself Nick, Davis, and Chris for another episode of Queued Up. Again, we got plenty to dive into today throughout all of the segments. Keep in mind you as we jump across the entirety of the week. We're trying to keep things all shuffled up, so let us know in the comments what your favorite is of today, and we're going to be starting off with my personal favorite, which is around the league. As we are already very aware, we got tons of different things that are happening, starting off with Valorant Champions Tour. Masters Toronto has been nuts. I don't think that a lot of people had any thought process that, one, G2 would be knocked down in the lower bracket, Sentinels would be eliminated top 6, and then you also have all of the APAC teams all shuffling all over the place. Then nobody knows who is the top of the leaderboard, I guess, when it is all said and done. But my question, I'm going to start here with you, Nick. Who's the best team in the game right now?
Paper Rex, maybe. I don't know. I think that felt like a good dart to throw at the wall and hope it sticks a little bit, but I really don't know. Depending on what version of each 4 of these teams left that shows up on any given specific day, they're the best team. I think all 4 have equal strengths and weaknesses right now. Going into this event, I thought there would have been leaps and bounds between the 4 of them, but this tournament has shown me otherwise.
Well, we got the bracket ready as well, so we can go ahead and talk about this because, Chris, I want to target this entire conversation over towards you next because you and I put a lot of faith and a lot of love into the EMEA region. Fnatic are actually still fighting very diligently as one of the last of 2 #1 seeds still standing in the tournament going up against G2 Esports in the lower semis.
They are, and unfortunately they had to take down Sentinels to do it, which makes me a little sad inside, but they have been looking better and better as the tournament's been going on. Definitely tough competition with Sentinels. They did make their way, through the lower bracket RRQ that they had to beat first. And I think they're going to have a really tough time versus G2. But as Nick alluded to, what team shows up will be dependent. And do we get the Fnatic team that won EMEA and possibly can move on? Or are we going to get the G2 that could beat them and move on? Right now, I am unsure. In my hearts of heart, I am going with G2, of course, because, NA all the way. But I have to say that Fnatic are a scary team to go up against them.
Well, as we got a couple highlight packages ready for us here, Davis, and I want you to start walking us through some of these as well, because the way that we got towards the Final Four, Nick already brought it up. We got 4 teams that are left in the tournament, and they're all from separate regions. Probably not how people suspected with Wolves, for one, beating Billy Gaming when they did, even back in the Swiss play-in, but also Sentinels losing the way they did. So we're going to be starting off with the G2 versus Gen.G. The way they had to fight back in this last map within its own right was just insane.
Yeah, completely. I mean, when I saw this match, especially the last map, as much as they were down, I thought it was just done for G2. But seeing them come back and back against the wall, winning every single round when they really needed to, that was a lot of confidence, I think, that they can really take into this matchup against Fnatic. I think it's going to be a big-time matchup with 2 teams that are really level, that kind of like we said, any team, whoever shows up can beat anybody. So it'll be really fun to see G2 as they keep going. I thought it was going to come to an end against Gen.G, but obviously really happy to see them continue.
Yeah, I mean, this was the lower semifinals. Again, this went the entire distance. Gen.G looking like the true APAC #1 team. G2 being knocked down a peg in the opening round by Paper X, which is why we're putting such a bright light on this exact matchup. But on the other side, Sentinels versus Fnatic, like Chris was already saying, I mean, this team was loud throughout the entirety of the tournament because, of course, they were. SENCITY is no more. I think that a lot of us probably had them at least top 3 at the very least, at worst, at best, winning the tournament. A lot of people thought that they were looking very good going into the entirety of it. But, I mean, outside of this, Nick, I think that there's probably one team that a lot of people have not talked about, and you were talking about the consistency of teams along the way. I've talked about them lightly. Wolves, they beat Billy Gaming. That's been like their biggest shadow of a doubt of being a top team. But every single time they've gone up against newer opponents, 2-0 versus Gen.G, 2-0 versus RRQ, versus Paper X now, every single new day they've shown up.
Yeah, it was crazy. Watching that Wolves Gen.G matchup, I thought that this was the end of their little hype train and run, but they just demolished Gen.G, and this is the same team that already put down Fnatic, and
right.
you're like, man, this team's looking really good, if not like the best team to win the whole thing, and then Wolves just demolished them and sent them down to the lowers. they're staying hot and hope they can continue to stay hot.
Yeah, I'm hoping so as well, because there's one thing that they definitely have is that main character aura. I mean, you and I was talking about it on Today in Esports. Fact coming in towards this double initiator meta. He's definitely fitting it quite wonderfully, not to mention how he's like the most jack person on stage. But I think even beyond this, Chris, do you, like, without getting into like the nitty gritty, did you perceive that like that the Chinese Valorant teams were going to be shaken up like this, that Wolves, of all the teams, were going to be in the winners finals?
I did not. I did not think they would. I thought actually after their run through groups that they would have made a run through lower. I expected that,
That's
not
fair.
really through winners. But they have been so much fun to watch, though. As you said, they have that main aura, that main character aura on stage, and I think it's helping, push them through these wins. And then, they're beating the opponents, they're stacking them. The meme with Death Door knocking out each door, and now is it going to be Paper X or is it going to be opposite? We'll have to see, because I think if they do make it to the grand finals going through winners, they are going to bring so much momentum with them that they could possibly just win the tournament.
Yep. We're going to be able to see all of that, all of our own predictions. Again, keep your pants on, gentlemen, because we're about to be getting into that towards the end of the show. And for you all at home, Pickems will be all the way at the end, which means we got to set up our next tournament that is happening, major events happening down in Austin. Of course, for Blast, they just completed their whole new stage attempts for 32 teams. We had single elimination going through, or Swiss, excuse me, all accumulating towards these final 8 teams of a single elimination bracket. You got Spirit, Mal's, Vitality, Na'Vi on one side of the bracket, FaZe, Mongols, Furia, and Pain on the other. So my question to you, Davis, is which side of the bracket would you rather be on, and why is it the bottom?
It would be the bottom because of just the names that are in there. But I do want to say, I don't think it's as lopsided as some people think, because I think when you account the form of this tournament, I think that says a lot. Because Mal's, yeah, they've won a couple of matches in a row, but they were one of those teams that quickly went 0-2 and was not doing very good. So I don't think it's as lopsided as possible, but if I had to choose, I'm definitely picking the side with Mongols, Furia, Pain, and FaZe.
I don't blame you. Look, Nick, out of all those first-round matchups, we were all sitting here kind of like jesting with each other. I think the only one that is obvious by any stretch of the imagination, fortunate to say, will be Na'Vi losing to Vitality. But out of those opening runners round 1 matchups, apart from the question that I just asked Davis, which one are you mostly looking at?
I think I'm looking at the FaZe and the Mongols. I think obviously the closest one is going to be Spirit and Mao's. I think that's the one that everybody's looking for.
Naturally, yeah.
But I'm actually going to FaZe and Mongols. This will be the 3rd time that they're playing each other. They've played a lot in scrims over the past couple of weeks as they've been down there in August, and they played each other already in Swiss to get into the playoffs. And it's scary to see a team a 3rd time, and as much as I'm riding that simple FaZe storyline to get all the way to the grand finals, it's tough when you see a team a 3rd time, and Mongols is going to scare me going into that match.
I've always been really hyped about like the whole Mizuno Hop train. I think that 9-10, I rate him as a generational opper. And the thing about FaZe, too, is that they've really been enjoying playing a lot of Anubis and Agent lately. Those are the 2 maps that Mongols have been making a staple of a name for themselves. Now in best of 3s, that could be real dangerous. But Chris, there's one name that is jumping off the page, and we're going to keep screaming it to the heavens because it is hilarious as a Counter-Strike enthusiast. There is one team missing, and that would be Falcons from this championship roster. But apart from them, I mean, what other thing could we possibly be missing? Is it just Falcons, you feel?
I think so. Maybe if you want to take a big shot at it, Aurora, Heroic not coming in
I like
as
that,
well.
Yeah.
Both of those, I think, could have made it into this, and well, they just haven't, won 3 losses on both of them. This format, as Nick was talking about, it did, push them to the limit. Actually, both of them talking about this format just kind of, shook up a lot of how we see a lot of these teams. So I'm sad not to see them here, but I think we're still going to have a great playoffs.
I wanted to shout out one more team. One team that I was surprised that didn't make it here because of how good they were playing was Virtus Pro. I mean, they were a team that in this stage 3, they won their first 2 matches immediately. Yeah. They had 3 more matches just to win 1 game to make it here and couldn't do it. So I actually thought they were a team that looked really good in the stage 3, but didn't make it.
Losing to Pain the way that they did, that same corner montage, we just ripped it on tie 8, and then not even about 24 hours ago, is just insanity incarnate.
Yeah, I think, speaking of one more team, and this might, all jokes aside, NIP. NIP should have been at this tournament in some way, shape, or form based on their DreamHack Dallas performance. So I wish we could have saw them in this major in some way, shape, or form. However, on Sunday, or on stage 3, probably not, but I would have loved to see him.
We got a layer of teasers so far. The discussion later on throughout this week and then going on through next will tour guide around the conversation, around the VRS rankings. Again, that was a tweet that just came out right before we started talking about this. We're going to bring that to a table of discussion in the upcoming Queued Up, as well as today in Esports. You're going to want to make sure that you subscribe and you watch all the Global Gaming Network channels because we're going to be breaking down all the VRS rankings, how silly some of it may be, and the ways that we might be able to restructure it to make it more enjoyable so that we don't get such lopsided brackets towards the end of these majors. But make sure you want to stay tuned towards the end of the episode. Again, we're going through all of our Pickems. We're going to be able to roast our colleagues, not only on this desk, but the ones that cannot defend themselves in the room as well. Continuing on with the teasers as well, the Call of Duty Major is actually happening again. Feels like that we have not had Call of Duty action on our screens in about a month's time, because it actually has been a month's time. There's not even a date on this schedule when they ended up tweeting this out, but it's happening in Kitchener, Ontario. That's in Canada, by the way, if that's too many letters for you guys. That's up north. Vancouver versus Miami Heretics is the first round matchup. LA Thieves get the run back versus Boston Breach. Ultra versus Carolina Row Ravens, and then FaZe versus Optic Texas. Should be a fun time up in Kitchener. That's again going down next weekend. And then another teaser as well would end up being the MSI play-in matches. So these are the bottom 4 teams, not saying that they're terrible, but they're not good enough to make it towards the main event quite yet. They got to make top 2 as far as this double elimination tournament is concerned. So G2 versus Fudia, Gam versus Billy Billy. That is all starting in a few weeks' time. Again, you guys want to make sure that you subscribe along to the Global Gaming Network channel as we have power rankings. We got today in Esports. We got so many different things where Chris is nerding about League. I'm nerding out about Call of Duty. These guys are dorking out about everything we throw up on screen in a moment's notice as well. So you want to make sure that you're there for all of the action. But that is enough of Around the League. Let's get in on for our next segment, which will be the clips and procedures. Now, clips and procedures, very, very different than when we just normally bring a normal clip to the table. Anybody could bring a highlight clip of a moment. But for this moment in particular, what all 4 of us did is we brought a clip that meant something to us that we wanted to break down in a further analytical way. And Chris, you can only imagine what you probably brought. It was League of Legends. What you got, man?
All right, so we have the finals. Here we go with HLE versus T1. And I think this is finally the big time that we see. So I love the way they do this for LCK. So we can actually see Ambessa and Doran playing the piano there at the bottom of the screen and just playing this to perfection. But I want to take a look at the moment in a second here. Kirya, best support in the world right there, says, you're not going to hook my top laner today. Allows him to finish off the 1v2 in spectacular fashion here, getting the kill. And I just love kind of their whole cinematic view as well. It kind of just brings you into the feel of how the player is playing it about. But this is the T1 that I want to see at MSI. This wasn't the T1 that we saw through rounds 1 and 2. This wasn't the Doran that we've seen through rounds 1 and 2 and that we expected. Domestic Doran is his name because he is so good domestically, but internationally he hasn't done as well. And I think with this T1 squad, he may be able to get that buff internationally, because we know Faker gets the buff when he goes international. So maybe they can cancel out together, and Doran can finally start to see some of his international success.
Well, I mean, Chris, is Carrier the best support in the world, or did HLE just fumble the bag? Because that's 2 of their carriers just got 1v2'd essentially. I mean, they tip the assist to Carrier, of course, but I mean, you got your ADC and your mid laner just got Billy bot by a top laner. Was it HLE just dropping the bag? Because I mean, like, I don't know. On a 1v, like, Guma was already dead, right? It was a full 4v5.
It's this bruiser meta. It's the bruiser meta in League.
That's fair.
We have a whole nother conversation.
So we only got so much time. We ain't got time for that. And again, I feel like me and Nick should probably leave when you guys start going to town as far as that is concerned. But Davis, you're up next for your clip. What do you got, man?
Yeah, so I'm going over to Counter-Strike, and it's actually a new strategy for a classic map, Dust 2. It's a B-site take. And we're just going to let the clip roll, and we'll see how they execute it. So we got him right here. This is a new way to set up for B.
I have a feeling this is going to be troll. I knew it.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. I didn't know that this was supposed to be the deep dive where we completely analyze the play.
It's fine.
But that was my clip right there.
But it would work, though. It would get you around. It would 100% get you around.
You're like, dang, I'm not
going
to shoot this guy in the knee.
And for the record, I just built that premise because I saw the clip. He was trying to hide it from me the entire time, but I heard the song and I was like, oh. Because he put the description in there, and I'm like, oh, he's talking about like a new Strat on Dust. I was like, we've been playing the same map for like 20 years.
And I'll be honest, when I saw the tweet, I thought it was serious. Like I watched it for the first 5 seconds, and I was like, okay, we got a new way to hit B. And then I'm like, oh my god.
You brought your Rickroll here, and then you Rickrolled me. Then I got all excited here, and now I don't know what to believe anymore. I feel like I'm kind of sad. Yeah, that was a great clip. Honest, but again. Like, I wonder how many times, like, if you body stack, like, over the top of the hole, body stack over by the car head glitch, you probably get a couple rounds around Dust, too. That's a great clip. Thanks for bringing that to the table, Davis. Over towards, my clip now is going over towards Valorant. This was a coming of an age story or a downfall of APAC's #1 team of Gen.G. I'm talking about this specific round. I think it was, like, round 16, 17, 18. It was the one that started the downfall, the 9 in a row. 11-4. Munchkin gets 2. First with the Outlaw, second with the Sheriff. It's a 3v5. Now, Jog on the Sage did use the res, so still a 4v5, and then down to a 1v1 post-plant shock dart out from Trent to bait him from the dark cover to be able to get the elimination. That was the full buy off of the timeout that got called by G2 that then started the first of 9 rounds to eliminate G2. 11-4 scoreline. They lost 13-11.
Yeah. Start of a tremendous run. I actually, that was the last round that I saw before. I think we were actually filming something, and I came in here. That was the last round I saw. But I wanted to say the lurk from KJ on that play exactly.
Dude, Leaf was in his bag.
Yeah, he was.
So good, so good. Anyway, yeah, I need to nerd out about that. Nick.
Oh no, that was amazing. I was so happy for. Again, I was nervous about that matchup as well with Gen.G and G2 and.
My Pickems were on the line during that series. Yeah. I was like, not like this.
We were all sweating. We were all sweating.
Like, come on, Trent. What are we doing? All right.
Yeah.
What you got, Nick?
I have Donk, the baby goat himself, getting into some NA Faceit. Was kind of a funny scene here. Let's see what we got.
Let's swim. Shift. Molly him.
No way.
Quality Molly.
Throw Molly.
I'm throwing it.
And then 6 people throw a Molly.
Is there a burner?
No.
And he's like, just go. Just go.
One more jungle. One CT. Go. Take it.
CT, take it.
Hey, you just absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Donk,
And at the end of that clip, it gets a little NC-17, but it's just comedy out of Donk. Even pro players need to spend a little time in the playlist from time to time. But my one message here, and this is why I'm looking at you, America, and everybody in between. We need to stop getting upset. When we're a pro player playing matchmaking, ranked, Faceit, whatever the case may be, nobody is up to your level. Plain and simple. Relax a little bit and try and help them. Getting upset is only going to ruin your mental and theirs. Keep it positive. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
I know exactly who he was talking to as well, like throughout all of us. Maybe you guys may not know, as the viewers at home. Maybe some of you guys in here may know, but yeah, that was a statement and a half right there. But why did he have an AWP in the first place? Isn't that the young boy was supposed to be a rifleman, right?
Yeah, he can do both.
Well,
he can do both.
It's kind of like when I'll relate it to Halo. It's like if your OBJ guy never gets the sniper. When he's playing matchmaking, he's going to take the sniper and have fun. And in Valorant, it's like if I'm a Sage main, I'm going to go play Jet in matchmaking. So
don't queue with Nick because he's going to instant lock Jet. And you don't want that.
You don't want that. You don't want that.
That's a great clip. Yeah, no, I think that pro players playing it in matchmaking, whether it's like Faceit lobbies,
just calm down.
Yeah, they should be calm, but also like what an opportunity to be able to play with some of the world's #1 as well. So
I think that's the coolest thing about the Austin Major being here. There's been so many NA players that have gotten to play with like Simple, Monacy, and all these players. Like that's so dope to be able to just queue up and play with them.
Yeah, and well, first of all, it's just like, are you real? And then second, it's like, now I need to super play well at the same point in time. It's such a dope experience as well. So great clips, guys. Great discussions that came along with it. Now it's time for a household favorite and chat's favorite as well. And we're talking about clutch your kicks. Get your signs ready. We're going to be starting off with some pretty heavy-hitting stuff here. It's actually my clutch your kick, and I wanted to get this one out of the way almost immediately. If you guys have been watching any of the Nintendo Direct stuff, then you saw some of this. Ever since the Switch 2 has released, they've been coming out with more and more directs for games. Here's one of the latest ones.
Golden Bananas, the discovery of the century, made right here on Ingot Isle. This is excellent news for #1 banana fan, Donkey Kong. However, just as he's about to...
#1 banana fan Donkey Kong, by the way, on Ingot Island. So let's just get a couple things off, just ripped off immediately. First of all, why is Donkey Kong in overalls? Second of all, that rock was a girl. Third of all, why am I asking so many questions about a trailer? I don't know what this game is about. We have lost the plot to casual Donkey Kong games. What happened to Donkey Kong Country, my side scrollers? Way better than whatever the heck that is. Someone please, go ahead.
Okay, well, if we're clutching off the game, I'm gonna go kick the game because I'm with you on the old side scrolls. I haven't really played much since the older games on Super Nintendo, etc. I love those. But if we're going off of the actual
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, the ad itself, yeah, that was the kick.
Yeah,
But,
that
like,
teaser was kind of
teaser was
had
funny.
so much.
But I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, what was the game about? What are the gameplay mechanics?
I was very confused.
So it
I'm
is
gonna
at
clutch
the
it
end of
though.
the day, it is a kick because I have no idea what's
Chris
going
is kicking.
on.
Chris is kicking.
but
Chris
the
is
ad,
kicking.
but the
I'm
ad-
gonna clutch. Yeah, I don't really know much about old Donkey Kong games, but that ad was pretty sick. So I'm gonna clutch it.
Silent Sumer.
I am really confused about the chicken and the egg and then the rock and then the girl. Like, I don't know now which came first. I have no idea. But yeah, take me back to Donkey Kong Country 3, not whatever that was.
To answer your question, Donkey Kong without overalls throwing barrels at Super Mario game before
Whatever that
We're going to lock you into some Donkey Kong Country after this. Promise me you.
Before this ends, when I was walking into the studio, I heard this playing in the production room. I thought it was Ewoks cheering at first as well. So obviously, if you can't see what's going on, it may be a totally, push you off the edge. You might even know it's Donkey Kong till you hear Golden Banana.
If I hear my niece playing that, I'm terrified. Nick, save us. Get us off of this conversation.
I will go next, everybody. All right, we've got a new 007 game coming out here. It looks amazing. And my clutch or kick isn't necessarily about, does this new 007 game look great or not? Because, yeah, I think it looks great. Am I probably going to play it? No question about it. However, as you can see here, remake, sequel, I am so fed up with the lack of new IP. We need something new, ladies and gentlemen. And it's not that hard. I know the safe and easy route is to continuously use things that are guaranteed to make you money. Donkey Kong from literally 30 seconds ago, 007, Mario, Marvel, Star Wars. The list goes on and on, but give us something new, please. So I'm kicking the remakes and sequels.
Yeah, so you're kicking the idea of like the remakes and sequels.
Yes.
Because I'm clutching that. Now, I'm also the wrong demographic for this conversation. I'm a Call of Duty fan.
Okay. Oh, yeah, 37 games deep.
Yeah,
He's all about it. Give him 30 more.
Like, who am I, right? Like, and also, like, all the Metroid Primes that I played. Like, I played Hollow Knight over, like, 1,000 times, and I'm getting, like, a reskin of that, essentially, with Silksong. So, like, I'm the wrong person, maybe, for this entire conversation. Also, at the same time, when it comes down to 007, I personally am gassed for that one.
Oh, yeah, I will play the hell out of it.
What's, who plays Peggy Carter in the films?
That is a great question, but I can see her face.
She is in there. Yeah, she's actually in there. And then the guy that plays the first person that Rick runs into in The Walking Dead, I forget his name as well. But he's also in that game as well. I'm in it for the voice acting personally. Okay. It's a star-studded cast, but I love the remake sequel. Sorry. Go ahead.
Remakes and sequels, Chris.
Do we clutch them or kick them? So in your
what are your thoughts on remakes and sequels? Do you want to see more remakes and sequels, or do you want to see new IP?
How far past sequel? So we like 3, 4, 5, or up to like 2? Because if it's something
it's
at
3, 4, 5, yeah.
Okay,
like
so if we're like 3, 4, 5,
yeah.
I'll kick. Or
Like 1 or 2 is okay, right?
Yeah. I think
At
I'm,
that
I
point,
think
it's a
I'm on this. If I'm saying this, I don't like the 3, 4, 5s. I think we can do past them.
Fast 11.
Yeah, no. I haven't,
Think about
after
this. Like,
Tokyo-
how long ago did GoldenEye come out on the N64? We're still coming out with 007s that are like the same exact idea, same
Yeah,
premise,
that's why
same
I'm,
idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the idea.
Kick.
Yeah,
Same way.
that's fine.
We need new.
That's fine.
We need new things.
Dude, lock me in a room with an N64, and I'm replaying those games every single year, every generation.
And that,
Go to the Wii U, the Switch 2, and I'm still doing it.
and I'm with you. And I have on my Switch,
Yeah.
the Super NES emulator on there is my most played game, no question about it. But in 2025,
Sure,
if a
sure.
new game is coming out, give me something
Oh,
new.
here, how about this? How about that? I raise your stakes with that maybe new IP should just be better about making better games, so that way I don't have to worry about playing the same type of game over and over again. Chris, what's your clutch or kick? I don't want to open up that can.
Yeah,
we about to get into it real quick.
My clutch or kick is, once again, Riot has decided to make a different UI for an international event. In my opinion, this time they did a much better job on making it more a little simplistic in what we know. It's not the best, but I think if we're comparing it to First Stand, it is much better. As you can see here, it moved away from the weird looking, I don't know, basketball looking one. But if we take a look here, everything's kind of towards the top. It's still a little much in my opinion, and it's a little hard to see some of the stuff there. But I wish I had a picture of the First Stand one to kind of show you guys in reference. But everything was kind of pushed up in the top left-hand side for it. You didn't know what was going on. They moved it back to more simplistic of what we see across the normalize of the different regions. This is kind of closer to what we get. We're still missing some things, but in my opinion, this is a step in the right direction if they want to be unique, which it seems like they are. And if they are going to be unique, at least make it kind of what people know and don't try to go too crazy with it.
Don't rewrite the wheel. Davis, how do you feel about the new overlay?
I think it looked really good. The only thing that I
You clutch or kicking?
clutch, yeah, I'm clutching it. I think it's a good idea. The only thing that I kind of want to nitpick was I feel like the bottom line of all the like scoreboard and minimap, I think that needs to be level, but it wasn't. It was a little jagged. See, it's a little jagged left or right. But I think it looks good.
Okay. It's
think
a stepping stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a stepping stone.
Yeah,
I think it looks good though. Clutch for me.
I am going to quote the great Barney Stinson. Newer is always better, and it's been a theme throughout all 3 clutcher kicks. Newer is always better.
Big How I Bet Your Mother fan. Oh, sorry, but we're talking about this. I'm also, but also clutching the same idea again. I remember that conversation when we were watching First Stand here at this office. That like the overlay, it was terrible. it was real bad. No one liked it. Go back. Don't rewrite the wheel. Give me some real nominal looking things at the bottom and highlight the beautiful UI that League of Legends already has. That's a great clutch or kick. Super clutch it is. For the first time on the show, all 4 of us actually agree on something. Doesn't happen too often, honestly. Whether I'm the host and Kepley actually shows up, it's crazy. Davis, what you got?
So we're going over to Black Ops 7. It has came out. Black Ops 7 will not have jetpacks or wall running. So I'm going to start out, and I'm going to clutch this. I think this is a good idea. First off, I think the biggest problem in Call of Duty right now is the separation. I think the huge player base of Call of Duty is your casual player base, and then you have your competitive side. And so I think this change and really implementing jetpacks really appeals to that competitive side, and it only adds a farther skill gap. And one of the biggest things you hear complaints from casual players is skill-based matchmaking. If they're playing on skill-based matchmaking with jetpacks, it's only going to make this problem way, way worse. So I think Call of Duty just needs to do a better job of focusing in on skill-based matchmaking in their ranked playlist and go back to their traditional, which we've been saying that for so long, no skill-based matchmaking in public matches. But ideally, that's what I would like to see. I think it's really clutch that they've came out and said there's going to be no jetpacks or wall running.
I'll take it. Kick, unfortunately. The only thing that would have got me a clutch on this topic, if you would have told me they're no longer making brand new Call of Duty games. I had to say it. I
Ask the Halo guy how he feels about Call of Duty. I'm also kicking this. The reason being is because I think that jetpacks, it's not going to save the game. I mean, like, I don't have enough time on this show to talk about what Call of Duty needs to help us out from a matchmaking perspective. Because, I mean, even rank play, like, you got the hacker problems, you got all the issues, skill-based matchmaking, like I said. I mean, even leveling up guns at the beginning of the game is such a bore. Going prestige is a chore. So I don't really want to do that. But from the competitive perspective, we're in a stalemate. Nobody likes control. Nobody's really enjoying hardpoint as much anymore. Hardpoint is probably like one of the more static game modes. Same thing for search and destroy. But if you add jetpacks, you add wall running, then we have uplink back. And that's a whole new ballpark right there. That opens up a whole different avenue for maps to be created. A lot more teamwork to be able to be involved to create these 3-lane maps with more verticality, which they're already creating. It's just inaccessible.
I'm going to clutch. Unfortunately, I am not as in-depth or adept to know the knowledge of competitiveness. I like this smaller, maps, and it seems like if it was, bigger, then it just seems like you need to make bigger maps for competitive. If you had like wall running and jumping, maybe that is good for jetpacks. I don't know. I like it when it was a little bit smaller and the kind of the chaotic mode. So I'm going to go ahead and clutch this from just my perspective. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to say too, because I forgot to say it when I was first talking, I just feel like ranked for Call of Duty is still such a skeleton of what it can be. And that's why I want them to really focus skill-based matchmaking into the ranked, because there needs to be more engaging stuff like maps that you can ban, stuff that you can pick, stuff that gets players really, oh, I'm playing ranked, not just, oh, I just queued up and I'm in a game and I'm shooting.
I would love for like all like the viewers at home again, like from the ranked perspective as well. Like I would agree with you at the same point in time. I just also think from like my ranked experience, like playing an uplink comparatively to like a search and destroy would be so much more, even a control as well would be so much more enjoyable. But like
100%.
Go back to like BO4 matchmaking, and that was pristine. You got pick, ban, protect, where you could actually play like an Arsenal hardpoint, or you could go into a frequency control. It was absolute chef's kiss. So great and yet diabolical conversation, because you were about to get me real rowdy over here. I'll tell you that much. When you bring Call of Duty to the table, expect me to kick back just ever so slightly. So that's Clutch or Kick. Let us know what you guys were most happy for. Me personally, super clutching is always a very fun time. Thank you, gentlemen, for bringing all those fantastic topics. Woo! Now we're going to go over towards Pickems. We're now reaching the tail end of our show, which means we get the time to either look like we are big-brained or we are absolute fools. Either way, we're going at each other's throats, and that's what I'm all here for. So we're going to be starting off with Valorant Champions Tour. Again, Masters Toronto is happening right now. Here's the current bracket. We're into top 4. You got one representation from China, from the Pacific, the North American, and the EMEA. And the latter two are facing each other in the lower semifinals match. And we're going to be starting off with the upper finals match. It's going to be a Pacific versus the Chinese showdown. The Wolves Esports versus Paper X. Let's go ahead and see what we got. Hit them across the board for us, Prod. And it looks like we're almost all in agreement, but we are split right down the middle as far as the test is concerned. And I probably would have gone against myself, I'm not going to lie, but I also have a screenshot of a bracket that I've uploaded to social media, so can I have a uphold to my picks? That's most of my reasons. So go Wolves. Why'd you guys pick Paper X?
To me, I just see. I think Wolves is a really good team, but I think they've outperformed. I think their standards, I would say, up until this point, and so I do think that their run will eventually kind of dwindle down. I think this is probably the moment it happens. PRX is a team that's as experienced as anybody in the tournament. They're a staple for Valorant, especially out of Pacific, and I think it's their time, personally.
Couldn't agree more. I couldn't have said it better myself. I think it's Paper X time to be in that grand final, and this is the one. As much as I love Wolves and have doubted them every step of the way, unfortunately, it's Paper X time to shine.
Yeah. I think that's my entire thing. It's like Wolves like going in towards this entire endeavor, like on this new patch. It's like the same argument for Paper X. It's like why they could look really good. We already hinted at it early in the show. The double initiator meta, CFAT, main character aura. I mean, if he rips off his shirt on main stage and he shows off a 6-pack, like I'm not gonna lie, you might as well like tuck and run at that point out. So like, we're split halfway down the middle as far as the bracket or for those two are concerned. Let's go on over towards the next one. What we got? It seems that for the lower semifinal, we're all in agreements for North America, except for Davis is going with EMEA's Last Hope. Explain yourself.
I might look like the villain, but hear me out. I'm pulling for Crashies.
Whoa!
Crashies, that's a good pick.
Crashies has always been my favorite initiator. I remember when I was competing in Valorant was when Optic was huge. He was a great player for them. And I don't know. I think this is going to be a super close matchup. I think either team could win, but me personally, like, as much as I like Crashy, I just had to put Fnatic.
I think there's in that last match between Sentinels and Fnatic, I think I've finally made my at least long-lasting impression on Fnatic. And there is a tight line between confidence and cocky. And I think Fnatic has crossed into that cocky line for me. And I'm just not about it anymore. I don't want to see that trash bag one more time. I hope G2 sweeps the floor with them and they don't even win 5 rounds between the 2 maps. Oh, that was a passion pick.
It was, yeah. It was, yeah.
I mean, for me as well, but I also think seeing that bounce back shows that G2 is finally starting to get in the groove. And I think if they can, play that against Fnatic and hold, then I think they'll just be able to take the series.
I'm going to hold on to my point about G2 just for a little while longer because it's a very much so on the cusp of what Chris was already talking about. So that's going to be the lower semifinals, which means in our brain, we've already eliminated one team, which would either be G2 or Fnatic. So now we're going over towards the lower finals, which would be between G2 or Wolves or Paper X and Fnatic, depending on which ones that you pick. So let's go ahead and see how we feel on the desk. And it seems that we are all going towards G2, except for Chris, who is kind of crazy because to get to the lower finals, you're supposed to lose the upper finals. Or no, it was Davis went with the Wolves instead. Sorry, excuse me, because of the Paper X and losing them. Yeah, sorry. I was reading that backwards, looking at it backwards.
I must have inputted it wrong because on my paper I have Fnatic, so that's my fault.
On the lower finals?
Yeah.
Definitely says Wolves right here.
Definitely. I must have inputted it wrong because on my notes I have Fnatic.
So Fnatic beating Wolves.
Yeah, Fnatic beating Wolves.
You are really on the crashy strain.
Yeah.
You think they're double initiated?
I thought I was the one in the orange shirt.
Well, no, what I was kind of leading to what I said earlier. I think, when Wolves loses to PRX, it's going to really extinguish a lot of their fire. Fnatic's just gaining fire. I mean, we talked about G2 coming back against the walls. Fnatic did the same thing, down 1 map against Sentinels and then winning the last 2. So I think that they're just going to continue that confidence, ride through lower bracket as they continue to win. I think their confidence will be too much to beat Wolves, who will just kind of be destroyed, in my opinion, after losing to Paper X.
I selfishly want to see that matchup on stage, too. I think Bolster versus CFAT on main stage, main character energy, would actually be the showdown. That's like some Super Smash Brothers level matchup that I actually might need in my life. Okay, so now we're down to our top 2 in our brains for grand finals. The majority of us had G2 making it there, except for Davis. So for grand finals, end up being, for my bracket, I'll go ahead and throw it out there. I did have G2 winning the entire thing. Here's how the rest of the room did fare throughout all of this. Davis, though, Paper X beating Wolves in that winner's finals. He actually went the opposite route. So Paper X would meet Wolves or beat Fnatic back into the grand finals, but then Paper X would just be that absolute dog, and they would end up beating them not once, but twice. Yep. But this time in a best of 5. So I guess I've been keeping this loaded, and my entire thing with G2, I don't think we've actually been seeing their real team comps. I don't think Jogmo's I don't think that stage pick is real. I don't think it's real at all. So I don't think that that's the final form for G2. But I will say this much: they might be too late to pick up the double initiator composition, which is why I'm kind of with Davis. If I didn't have, again, a very public screenshot of what my bracket looked like going into the stream, I'd be like, yeah, Wolves Paper X Grand Finals, 100%, baby. Or even Fnatic, too. The double initiator is absolutely strong. How you gentlemen, you feeling good about your picks? You feeling hot about G2?
Oh, yeah.
NA, copium, hopium, whatever you want.
All of the above.
I
wouldn't be upset if that happened. I would love to see the NA team win.
I think it'd be cool for Trent, Leaf, Jonah P., Jogmo.
Been so close.
Yeah, you go back to that map 5 against T1 and Masters Bangkok. They came up short. They had to fight back through the lower bracket against Sentinels to even be the #1 seed. They got humbled real fast.
I will say, though, we're talking about how cool. I think that would be super sick for all the G2 fans. But the way I look at it is with PRX, the same way. With Forsaken, Mind Freak, they've been here since 2021 on this team. This is their 6th Masters appearance. I think it's their time. They've tried so much. They came 2nd in 2022 at Copenhagen. It's just their time, in my opinion. They're always there. They've never been able to do it, but they look really good.
And everybody still doubted them after they almost lost to Team Liquid in that Swiss bracket map. They still doubt them, and they're still almost grand finals bound.
And I have
pop off, Davis.
At the end of the day,
yeah,
their jerseys are better.
Fact, jersey cheese for the win, no question about it.
Something do be rocking that jersey pretty well, man. They'll be looking good. All right, so that's what we got for Valorant. Again, all VCT Masters Toronto is going to be concluding throughout the entirety of this weekend. You want to make sure that you stay tuned and subscribe, because on Monday we're going to be going over all of that, not only on Queued Up, but then also on Today in Esports. So continuing on with our tactical shooty McShoot-shoots, we're going to be moving over towards Blast, down towards the very hot sun of Austin. For Blast Major is also coming to a conclusion. They started off with 32 teams in a Swiss bracket, and then they moved all the way down to 8. for a single elimination. And then we did Office Pickems. The screenshot is alive, so that way we can all make sure that we hold each other accountable. And even if we did the Pickems, the only person in the entire room that said anything otherwise was me. Was the first round that Mouse was going to beat Spirit. I just like if there's anything that could likely happen, I think it would be that. You guys did bring compelling arguments though earlier about like the whole Mongols versus the FaZe. I do like the thing because I think everything happens in threes, and I think the third time happens.
Scary.
It is pretty scary, man. Like I'm 33. They're about to be facing each other for the third time. Maybe it's the time that like Mongols might win. I don't know. I think Sybil looks real good though, and I just think historically the Mouse Spirit matchup, no matter how much time Chopper takes away from the game, it does not matter. Mouse in 3.
Spirit has looked better recently, so my Spirit pick here is a little bit of Spirit and Donk Hopium, but it's also Mouse has not looked good this major. Spirit has. Yeah. However, when you do go historically, Spirit has been bested by Mouse numerous times over the past 3 to 4 months, and it wouldn't surprise me if it happened again.
I'm in that same boat. I think if you asked me this question, like if you asked me to rank this playoffs back before the major even started, I think I definitely put Mouse beating Spirit just because how they played for the rest of the year. But so far through this major, I think Spirit's just looked a little bit better, and I think they'll arrive.
Yeah, Mouse started this stage 0-2, let's not forget.
No, I did. But I mean, like, outside of that, I think we all agree Vitality back on top.
Yeah, getting that loss out off their shoulders, they're primed and ready to go.
Yeah.
You mean for the entire
tournament?
Oh no, I have FaZe.
Oh, that's right. No, you did take FaZe. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because we didn't make it that far, right?
I was about to say, hold on.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because what we agreed on everything else until I was the weirdo in round 1, and then you were the one that took the wild card in grand finals.
I took Spirit the beat for Vitality round 2 as well.
That's right.
Oh.
Yeah, because you got a Spirit FaZe final.
Yeah, rematch from Shanghai.
With FaZe end up winning.
Yep.
Now that's weird. And then you also have CJ just like picking for the fans. He's really just hoping that he can secure that lead so that when he comes back to queued up, he can feel like a champion. We do miss you, CJ, and we hope that you are doing wonderfully well. Cap on the other side, too, is kind of holding on to that trend. We know that he is a big Mongols fan.
I'm surprised he didn't just write them all the way.
Yeah.
He had to throw a prayer with how far down the leaderboard he was. He might as well. He might as well. Yeah, you said we'd take shots at people not here, but Davis, you know Rops isn't on that team anymore, right? So it's like, okay.
I think they'll arrive.
But simple is.
Yep, exactly. What simple is.
You're right.
But look,
I think we're in for a very entertaining major, and the thing about it is it's the Counter-Strike major. When you get in person in the venue, anything can happen at one of these events. Last major, we had FaZe versus Spirit. They were the 5 and 6 seed entering this, and they were in the finals. So
all right,
anything can happen.
I have to ask real quick to you.
Yeah.
Heart and head picks. We know what your head went. You went with Paper Rex and FaZe. What does your heart want for both?
In Valorant, my heart probably wants PRX. That's why I picked them.
Okay.
That's a good heart pick.
And probably FaZe.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm like, I hear your question, but like also
I
all of his analysis
with his head a little bit. I thought
he was so proud. That's why I was like, I was gassing him up about the whole PRX thing too.
I was trying to think. I was like, this is probably my heart.
Yeah,
he hates NA. Got it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't hate NA.
That's what I heard.
Out of country.
Because G2's still there.
Yeah, that's the main thing. I just don't. I'm not going to just pull for them because they're in it.
CJ comes back in full uniform. He's like, you what?
I'm sorry.
Chris, how are you going to do, man? Like, you got like a couple days or like even weeks until like League of Legends happen. You going to be all right?
Yeah.
All right.
He's going to play TFT between us.
It actually gives me time to really focus on Valorant and CS this week.
That's what I like to hear.
And then, of course,
and he's got a lot of league.
I can actually watch, a lot of COD. I'm going to be watching, really deep diving into LPL finals, LCK finals as well.
A lot of league coming up, too.
Oh, yeah.
Ton of league once MS.
I'm telling you, towards the end of the month of June, like it's about to be like the most, like we're towards like when we get closer to an international tournament is when everything just fires off. So again, make sure you subscribe to the Global Gaming Network channel. Follow along for all the videos, for Queued Up, for Skill Diff, for Today in Esports, whether it's the short or the long form. There's countless individuals behind me that are always working countless hours to make sure that this goes on. So make sure you put your thanks in the comments down below. Subscribe and let us know what your favorite moment is in the upcoming weekend. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the next one.